from design, manufacturing, research, development, and excellence, and also from sourcing. So all these panelists today are very, very senior experts from the industry. And we have Professor Dr. Venki Nagan, the Dean NIFT, as the webinar chair. So we welcome everybody to this webinar, and our sincere thanks to all the participants and supporters and well-wishers who constantly support us in this endeavor. So I'll begin the show by, I'm Professor Raghuram Jayaraman. I'm the host for this webinar, and I begin the proceedings by introducing Professor Dr. Venki Nagan. With over 35 years of experience, she's one of the biggest motivations that we have in NIFT, a senior academician, and now currently the Dean of NIFT. She also happens to be the director of the Delhi campus. She has many accolades and has taught several students. Most of them who are alumni in the industry who definitely know her and her credibility. And she has taken NIFT, the campus, and now the NIFT head office to the newer heights. So welcome, ma'am, and thanks for once again, gracing this occasion to be and agreeing to be the webinar chair. Welcome. So let me start by introducing our first panelist, the creative shifter, Mr. Narendra Kumar Amar. For us, he is Nari, our great friend. From being listed in the Esquire magazine 50 best men's stores in the world as a designer, he has donned many hats in the fashion business in India. Apart from being the creative designer, launching amazing fashions in India, Nari has styled Bollywood actors, stars, Mr. Bachchan, Amir Khan, Priyanka Chopra, to name a few, and styled Bollywood's seminal films, Fashion by Madhur Bhandarkar, starring Priyanka Chopra and Kangana Ranaut. He has also been India's first fashion editor, having launched the Elle magazine, to being a filmmaker and photographer with one of his films, The Marriage of Shaila Patel, opening the Brisbane International Film Festival in 2017. Oh, that comes as a surprise to me, Nari.
There are many things that people don't know, Raghu.
Yeah. So corporate design has been a leading area of work of him with India's leading hotel chains, Taj Group and JW Marriott. He has also helped launching the India Fashion Week, Lakme Fashion Week, and represented India at the Biennale in Saint-Étienne, France. Known for his socio-anthropological fashion vision and considered one of India's leading designers with an intellectual bent, he continues to make forays into new and challenging fields with the launch of a sportswear brand, Alcis by Nari, made entirely from recycled plastic bottles. Thanks, Nari.
Thank you very much, Raghu.
Yeah, you've always been a great support. And as I told you yesterday, just 15 seconds call. He says anything for NIFT, yeah, come on. So,
like I've told every time I say, I'm here today talking to you because of NIFT.
Thank you so much.
Always believe that.
Yes. Our next panelist, the provisional Mr. Venki Nagan, the Group CEO of Asmara International Limited, Hong Kong, a progressive company in the domain of global sourcing and exports of fashion apparel. Asmara has designed merchandising and production offices in the Far East, South Asia, MENA region, and Barcelona. Venki completed his BE Honours Mechanical Engineering from BITS Pilani, followed by an MBA from the IIM Calcutta. His career path has been from manufacturing projects, merchandising, business development, team building, and profit center management across Unilever India, Gokuldas Images Bangalore, Nordwest Industries Hong Kong, Nordwest Industries China as country manager, apparel sourcing director for Sprandi International Shanghai. In 2009, Venki joined the Asmara Group as country manager, Bangladesh, and is now the CEO and managing partner of the Asmara Group. So Asmara Group serves fashion brands like Zara, Bershka, Abercrombie & Fitch, Hollister, REI, Urban Outfitters, Ann Taylor, Tom Taylor, Marco Polo, Group Dynamite, and others. Their value-added services include 3D design and fitting, digital monitoring of production and quality, CSR, research and development on sustainable material and processes. So apart from all this, he has very enthralling, hobbies like swimming, traveling, reading, and music. So we share something in common there. Venki, welcome to the show, and thanks for being here with us. Our next panelist is Abhishek Jaiswal. He's a hard-working businessman. That's what I've heard about you, Abhishek. You've become an entrepreneur. I know that you speak Japanese a bit, I believe. Has acquired extensive knowledge.
My favorite country.
In the field of garment manufacturing through the study of various production processes, design forecast, market survey, and study improvements. Building a workplace of continuously evolving teams and dynamics is his foray. And he has grown year by year in strength and business because of these skills that he has acquired over a period of time. He's worked as a country manager for a Japanese buying agency in India and lived and worked with the Japanese people for 2 years. He did a certificate course in Japanese language. He started own manufacturing and exports from the scratch. Kudos, my heartfelt congratulations to you, because you started it right from the scratch, Abhishek, which is one big thing to do. Yeah. So that's why.
Arigato-san, Abhishek.
Yeah. So Abhishek plays soccer, cricket, and badminton, and also listens to music. Wow. Next is Gaurav Arora, Director of Manufacturing Excellence, Adidas, Cambodia, and Thailand. He is adept in implementing innovative manufacturing techniques, change management, and method standardization across different suppliers to implement the best methods across the supply chain, resulting in reduction of assembly by focusing on material handling. His expertise includes GSD, Lean Six Sigma, project management, PDCA, living in the VUCA world, and many more. So he has worked with leading manufacturers, and he has a versatile overseas experience, has been a very good support, a very good friend of ours, and was very, very instrumental when to build a good relationship in Cambodia. So Gaurav, welcome to the show. So my heartiest welcome to all 4 panelists. Now I request our webinar chair, Professor Dr. Vanna Naran, to please take over.
Thank you, Dr. Raghu. It's always a pleasure to host this show for Lift. And really heartfelt welcome to Nari, Venki, Abhishek, and Gaurav. Today's panel is about India First Fashion Ecosystem Atmanirbhar. We started this series of fashion webinars. This is the 3rd one in the series. We do once a month. And it's always a pleasure to meet alumni and senior industry members in it. Indians have always played a major role in bringing innovation to the world to improve life of its inhabitants, starting with zero to the Bose, and today India's dominance of the world in IT sector. Well, we are not very far behind where fashion is concerned. Our panelists are a witness and the statement for this thing. India has been a forerunner in various aspects of fashion, be it natural resources or man-made fibers. We are well recognized for the workmanship and indigenous creativity. We are, I think, the only country in the world with live tradition in craft sector. We are recognized for our niche area markets. Time has come to collectively realize the power of being self-reliant and lead the fashion world with excellence and strength in hand-woven and hand-spun offerings, which are achieved by practicing the virtue of self-reliance. One more thing which a lot of viewers might not be aware of is that during the pandemic time, in less than 6 weeks, India set up a major sector of making PPE kits for the world and for India. There has been a great demand today, and we have panelists who will talk about how a strong India-centric, self-reliant fashion ecosystem will make India a more stronger and an economic power. Textile industry and fashion business employs is the 2nd largest employer after agriculture. I don't know the numbers, so let me tell you only about that it's the 2nd largest. Starting with the certain trends and uncertain times in pandemic, where everyone is feeling what is going to happen. I personally feel that we are on the verge of a major breakthrough, because difficulties always bring times of great opportunity. So my first question is, in reference to the prevailing situation, what is the significance of envisioning and developing a self-reliant India fashion ecosystem? And I'm going to refer this to Nari, Narendra Kumar Ahmed, as Raghu introduced him. For life of me, I'll never be able to remember him anything but
Nari is good.
Over to you,
So, So first of all, thank you, Raghu, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you, Vandana. Lovely to be here always for NIFT. One thing maybe that Raghu didn't mention about me at NIFT, I helped start NIFT in Mumbai. I used to teach there from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, or 1 at night also for the first 2 years. I used to teach pattern making, advanced pattern making, history of fashion, quite a bit of subjects. So NIFT is really close to me, as you can see. But coming to Vandana's question, let me start by first saying that the pandemic is there and we have to accept it. The first thing is accepting the idea that there is a problem, there are issues in the world, and we need to deal with it. I mean, that's the only way we can start looking at it in a positive way. If the pandemic is the rock bottom of what we are going through, everything that we look ahead is going up, is looking up and looking ahead. And I think that every step we take will build towards making that dream come true. But what I wanted to say was, like Vandana said, this is a time for great opportunity. Great opportunity, one, because what we thought of in the about the internet age and education in the internet age, we thought would happen in 2030. We'll have classrooms on Zoom and internet classrooms and kind of stuff. It's already happening. It's already happening, and so much so that we have adapted to it so well. The other thing is, India is the hub of, activity around, data, around software, around the backbone of the world, really, of this whole thing. And the entire future of design, moving from 3D to runways to virtual shows, is all based on technology. Technology that India is so strong at and has built over the last 25, 30 years, ever since NASSCOM started. So I think coupled with that and the fact that, that we have the knowledge at grassroots level to convert this into and give it creative direction, schools like NIFT and colleges like NIFT are the places that can give creative direction to all this energy and knowledge. So I think that we are first off the block because we already have we have the basic wherewithal to handle all of this. We have a large school like NIFT that is teaching people around, and I think that number one, the other thing, big thing is on the parallel side, is that you might not require a car. You might not everybody of the 1,300 million people in this country would require a car, would require a phone, and require in their own houses. But every one of us will need clothes to wear. So fashion is not going anywhere. It might have taken a temporary respite, but the opportunities are so large, given the fact that technology is playing a big role, environment is going to play such a large role in what fashion is going to be in the future. And the whole idea about sustainability, recycle, has not even started in this country. We are at a cusp of something great if we can adapt and quickly move into a new space and be one of the first people to lead it. Because what has happened is COVID has flattened the world of knowledge. Everybody has access to the same knowledge across the world today, and students and people, particularly now coming out of this course, have could be path breakers when it comes to what is going to happen in the future. And the role that people should look at, and young students particularly should be looking at, is saying, what is my role in this world and how can I imbibe technology into that role as any person in any part of the fashion site ecosystem, whether it is creating textiles, designing clothes, manufacturing clothes, and marketing. Social media is so large. So we are in a new field. I think we are at a great point to expand and go into a new direction. And the fact that we are here first and we can get off with it very quickly is a really, really wonderful time for design. And I think, for much of the people, like my own self, when I started in 1990, everybody told me, including my parents, told me, are you going to be a darzi? And what kind of career are you going to make in life? But I had the vision. I always knew that clothing was an important part and fashion was going to come to India. Just the same way, I would think for young people today, clothing is always going to be there, but it's going to reach you in new ways. And those new ways are technology, sustainability, and supply. So I believe fantastic opportunity for the people who learn to make the most of it. And it's never been a time like this where the playing field has been leveled. Mandana.
Absolutely, Nari, I agree with you. And I started my career in fashion about 6 years before you, and heard that, are you going to be a darzi? Okay, leaving aside this, Mr. Venki, can I ask you for your opinion on this?
Thank you very much. So the question is about what is the significance of developing a self-reliant Indian fashion ecosystem. So basically, Atmanirbhar is not just rebranding of Make in India, but definitely it is a plus on that. We want to make in India and make for the world and develop that extra competence. Basically, by developing this self-reliance, we are going to bring extra confidence to our customers. We're going to boost our competence, and it's going to be something which brings a long-term impact to the industry. Number two, our exports as a percentage compared to other countries has not been keeping pace or growing. Export is a good barometer of our competence. So preparing ourselves, this is a time to literally regroup and relook at our position and strengthen it. Number two, what is this ecosystem? This ecosystem comprises Indian brands, government, industry, colleges, research institutions, banks, infrastructure, ports, power, everybody working together with one single mission. So once this project is clearly defined, it's going to bring in more FDI, it could bring in more joint ventures and bring in more transfer of technology. And that is what is going to help us develop our competence. So that is what my definition of why go for Atmanirbharta. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get back to discussion on it after Abhishek. Abhishek, your view on it.
Konnichiwa.
Arigato-san.
Good evening, everyone. Respected Vandana Madam Ji, Dean of NIFT, under whose pioneership NIFT has grown brick by brick since its inception. Respected Dr. Raghuram Ji and the team of Industry and Alumni Affairs who has organized this. Respected panelists who are a pioneer in their field of excellence. Thank you all for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this discussion. And thanks to the viewers who are watching this, thanks for your valuable time, especially during IPL. So I think, well, most of the things has been covered by Mr. Venki. One of the things is research and development. Because if we consider the economic growth of any country, like after World War II, if we consider the growth of Japan, if we consider the growth of China, they have developed with a continuous R&D process. And I think we have a great example of Maruti Suzuki, who has developed in India, made the cars and the travel in India an Atmanirbhar process. Because without which, if they didn't have the setup here, Suzuki was nothing there in Japan. They come to India, they had a collaboration with Indian people, they developed their own things, they researched on what people like in India, mileage, the longevity and sustainability, these things they studied. Then they created one thing, and this thing is everywhere in the market, challenging the whole world. Maruti Suzuki product is challenging the whole world. So this is one of the important area that I want to add on. Thanks.
Thank you, Abhishek. Gaurav, your turn now.
Thanks, ma'am. First of all, good evening, everybody. Thanks for inviting me and part of this webinar. So, as Mr. Narendra said, NIFT is very close to him. NIFT is very close to all of us because NIFT is where my transformation also started. So, where I learned and my career has taken shape. Okay, so coming back to the question. So I feel a person achieve extraordinary result when his emotion is hit. And right now, I feel India is hit by COVID and China. So this is the best time we need to look this as an opportunity as businesses are reforming and moving. So we need to nail it, and this would create more opportunities in India, and this would improve our economy as well. And lastly, we will reduce the dependency on others. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Gaurav. I agree with each one of you. And becoming Atmanirbhar or self-reliant is not only a dream, it's a necessity for this country. We are a huge economy. The world is coming to us. I remember going to Italy about 10 years back, where Italians were very, very interested in coming to India and working with us. And we wondered why. It's only after 2 years that we realized that we were the largest market for anyone to conquer. And Chinese have shown us that they can make our ideals, they can make our clothes, they can make our religious requirements better than what we were doing, though we are not very happy with it because the quality or whatever we might say is not up to the mark. But becoming self-reliant is not only important for the prestige of this country, but for economy of this country. My next question I'll start with Venki this time. How dependent are we, and what is the suggested roadmap to become self-sufficient? How long will it take for us to achieve this completely?
Thank you. How dependent are we on imports? Now, there is imports of raw materials and imports of finished garments. Now, India does not import too much of fabric, but we do have to import finished garments like certain sweaters, outerwear, activewear, because there is not enough competence and price competitiveness in India. Again, when it comes to fabrics, special blends and some of the fabrics more suitable for autumn winter, India does not have a capability, and therefore we have to import. So I would suggest, as part of the roadmap, to have more joint ventures to bring man-made fiber and fabric making capabilities in India, preferably with Taiwanese and Korean joint ventures. I have lived and worked in China, so I know that Chinese are also very good at sharpening the products and making the prices workable. So we should also probably keep an open mind for Chinese joint ventures if other political issues work out. So first thing is reduce the dependence on imports. Number two is we are all waiting for the national textile policy, and hopefully that will bring a lot of incentives. The government has initiated and kickstarted a number of IT integrated textile parks, but it's still a work in process and not really reached fruition. I think a lot more needs to be done there. We as a country need to open more diversified markets in Latin America and Southeast Asia. In terms of how long this process will take, I think we should go in two steps. First stop 2024, second step 2027, and keep that as a short-term goal to get to our self-reliance. Thank you.
Abhishek, your...
Yeah. Well, how dependent are we? I would see this thing as how habitual we are. Because wherever the products are imported from China, they make sure of the thing that Indians are habitual of those kind of things. and they don't get such kind of technology, or they don't just make those replicas. They are good at making replicas, so they don't want another country to add on that. So I feel that we are not dependent, but we are habitual. And everywhere, in every, like every religious affair, or in any kind of academic activities, or in any kind of setup, in any kind of industries, China has encroached everywhere. They have invested in their own industries to feed these kind of demands. So these habits need to change. First of all, I would like to add on this. I just give you one simple example that we are in the manufacturing sector of garment. We don't have a good stitching machine manufacturer in India who can supply us good stitching machines with the best rate. We have Juki, we have Jack, every other Chinese companies everywhere in India. Everything is imported, and they just keep on making us habitual. For the last 30 years, there is no change in this. So what we need is to change the habit to get dependent on somebody. The first step is for self-reliant is that unless and until we go on and keep innovating our things. Like I heard one of the good example during this last few weeks before, that NIFT Delhi student has invented one of the mask making machine by himself, which I find a very good thing for any Indian, and we are proud of that as a NIFTian, that he has invented a thing which Chinese are selling and flooding in India, and we have to buy it because we don't have any other option. So these kind of dependency has to be reduced. This is the first step. Then only we can think on how and how long we are going to take on this. Thank you.
I think what you mean is that we need to invest into R&D and innovation.
Yes.
Okay. Idea of habits, breaking habits is very, very right, because we get so used to it. But one thing I must say about Indian population is that in terms of food, they do not compromise. Even a Burger King and a McDonald's had to come with the aloo tikki burger. So, Gaurav, your take.
Before I start, I mean, I do agree with Abhishek, his point on research and development, and will add innovation also. I think we are a bit lacking in this area, and where other countries are a bit in a leading position. So this is one of the area where we need to work a bit more aggressively now. Okay, so I feel when it comes to retail in India, the fashion designers are doing pretty well. They are appreciating the old crafts of India and are involving craftsmen and artisans from rural belts of India. And more venues are opening from them to sell their hand-woven fabrics. And NGO, fashion institutes, government, entrepreneurs, and designers are helping them in this area. However, if we talk about exports or large quantity in exports, lot needs to be done. So to start procuring from India, lots need to be done in the manufacturing sector, from policies to automation to R&D to infrastructure to being quality conscious. We need to work on all these areas, I feel. And to be honest, I can't predict the time it would take, but definitely I feel it is the best time to look into it and look at the gaps and work on those gaps. Yeah, thanks.
Nari, your take on the question.
Yes, so Venki and Abhishek and Gaurav, all three have brought up really relevant points for what is important to do in this country right now. But I think that, the opportunity, the need really is vision. We need to have a vision. There needs to be a vision of what we need to have. And I can tell you, when NIF started, the vision was to create people who will fill in the supply system. We will help designers, help other country people to make it. We'll get manufacturers, we'll get GMT, garment manufacturing students, to help in the manufacturing process. We'll get marketing people to look at a bit of retail. But largely the vision for creating stuff was never entrepreneurial creating stuff, though our country is such a large place for entrepreneurs, known for its entrepreneurs who are doing such small things. We have never really helped that in the industry, where through loans, through working capital, through stuff like that, and through a vision, through institutes also to create entrepreneurs, So what we have looked at is filling gaps in the market for export markets largely, really with a very small vision for what we want to do domestic. I think first of all, that needs to change. We need to say we are here to create people who can create stuff, and look at that, because like I think Abhishek said, that you need someone to have that innovation vision, because if you don't have that, you're not going to start. We're always going to be the back end of the world. We need to be the front end of the world right now. And we have the tools, we have the market, we have the education. We just need vision to say that we need to propel this in that direction. And largely, I think that 4 areas really that are, some of them that have been spoken about: infrastructure, employment, social acceptance, and value, price. India is divided into multiple layers in markets, multiple segments that are there. People are knowledgeable, people who can afford, textiles that are made from handcrafted textiles because the price value is high. There are other people who need ready-made clothes, everyday wear clothes. And one of the reasons that I got into design to get into ready-made was the very fact that, you in this modern day, you can't expect a woman to run to catch a train in a sari. It becomes really difficult for the person to do that. So how do we adapt, and what we need to do is what we need to do. We are being followers. We are really not being the drivers of ideas. And opportunities for these drivers to flourish is very, very little and far in between that you can see. And people who challenge status quo is what we need. And all of those things are really important, and I think that social acceptance is slowly rising amongst a segment of our people. Employment is a really large issue for our country. We cannot be creating robotic products which do not employ people. Where are they going to get their employment from? Who's going to buy your stuff if they don't have the money to buy it? So multiple things that we need to look at while we build a vision that, like Venki said, Abhishek and Gaurav said, that there needs to be a thought process of putting all of this together to really making this work strongly for this country and making it Atmanirbhar.
Thanks, Nari. And I must tell you that amiss of me of not mentioning when we started Atmanirbhar, that NIFT has started its Design Innovation and Incubation Center. The first one is in Delhi. The second one will open very shortly in Bombay. And we would have started it in March itself. The inauguration date was, I think, 9th April for Delhi and 7th July for Bombay. But pandemic has really changed what we were doing. But NIFT is absolutely, as usual, on track of keeping it. Atmanirbhar came much later, but we always believe.
Fantastic. And I think at this point, I would just add, people like the large companies are the ones that should support this initiative. These are the people who should be driving something like that, because else it's not going to happen. How much will the government put into this?
Yes. And what Gaurav said, that we have designers who support the craftsmen. Let me tell you one thing which Chinese have not been able to replicate are our crafts. They took 100 weavers from India and tried to make them into a multiple this thing of creating crafts on the power loom. They couldn't do it. Okay, coming to my next question, we can talk about what we have done, but I need to ask you people what you think are right. What reform and restructuring should government enforce for a successful mission in making the Indian fashion business self-reliant? I start with Abhishek this time.
The question of restructuring and reforming is always asked in the difficult times. But I think that the government has already done several things in this area. The government has done a commendable job in reforming, relaxing, and restructuring the policies. The next step is the implementation of those policies to create an ecosystem for every industry to grow. A little help in the handloom and power loom sector and its challenges could be one area where I think a subcommittee is required for gradual integration, upgradation with the auto loom. Because India's USP is always the hand feel of cotton and its blended products. So we need to boost technologically as well as with various schemes in this sector. Of course, we are going to expect more FTAs in coming years to attract the foreign buyers and more importers. But what we need is, we need a huge push from the state's machinery in creating, supporting and implementing those policies made by the center like SITP, TUFS in their respective states according to their strength in apparels, hard goods, toys or other items of manufacturing. The central government is already making policy changes for the industry so that the government and industry comes together in the same page and make an ecosystem for Atmanirbhar Bharat. These technological and textile parks, incubation centers are good schemes where land is free, building is funded, and other infrastructures are developed by the government. Enterprises just need to go there and start operating. Now the state governments and the big companies of India, as Nari mentioned, should pitch in with their efforts to create a strong and Atmanirbhar Bharat. As you know, the central government is targeting $5 trillion of economy by 2025, and we know the textile manufacturing is around 11% of total manufacturing at present with $45 billion of volume. It provides 35 million direct employment and nearly the same of indirect employment. It means apparel in manufacturing is going to increase to 200 billions if we have to reach the $5 trillion economy. So it creates a huge job opportunities. This is where the NIFT and textile graduates come into frame. It means a huge opportunity for them to be an entrepreneur or do the jobs. The current recession is just a pause, not a full stop, because we have already started seeing revival in the dried up order situation from several markets. This lull situation is the correct time for newcomers to start up new things. I expect that the job vacancies will also increase from the month of December because we have already got so many orders lined up. I myself started manufacturing after the 2008 recession period, so I can relate to this economic recession, and I think it's a great opportunity for the new entrepreneur to start. Thanks.
Thank you, Abhishek. Gaurav, your turn.
Yep. I think first thing at this prevailing situation is ease of doing business. I know we have been talking this from a long time, but I feel the government needs to look if some companies are coming out of China, there again, most of them are going to Vietnam or Indonesia. And it's the same Chinese company who have opened up their manufacturing units in these countries. So I think it's very important for us to realize where we are lacking to find out that and work on those areas so that we can also attract those companies in India. And other thing is, I feel, which Abhishek discussed before, none of the manufacturer or none of Indian company is manufacturing machines in India. So we know automation is already in and is going to be the future. So in order to be an automated industry, we need to have machine suppliers or Indian company to be producing machines in India. So another thing is we need to have a good mechanical and electrical engineers in garment industry. I think these needs to collaborate. machine suppliers in India than good mechanical and electrical engineers. So if we have good automation, then we can survive in future. Because most of, I know the factories in China already, they are producing 20% SMV on automation. But when I talk about India, we would be on 1% or 0.5%. So this is a huge gap. I think the government needs to work in upliftment of manufacturing sector in this area. Government has already taken some initiatives like skill development through NSDC also, which is a very good initiative. And I think more initiatives like this are required. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Gaurav. Nari, your turn.
You know, my thing, like everyone said, ease of doing business. You know, for a garment manufacturer today, if I'm designing something, and you know, we have a fun line called FKNS, which is sports, which is called fake news. You know, the name is fake news and it's called FKNS. But to manufacture that, I need knitwear and I need good zips and I need quality. Every time I need something, I need to go to China. I need to go to, I mean, it's impossible. The government should have an economic zone which is only for clothing manufacturers across the field in one place. You look, I mean, one has to only go to Guangzhou and see building after building after building after building, accessories, manufacturing facilities. In one place, you can get a garment done completely, you know, in one day. In India, for everything, you have to run from one city to another city or go to China. Yeah. How do you expect, how does people expect us to have this kind of thing? And this is what I meant when I said vision. We need an economic vision, an economic zone, really where people, where all kinds of manufacturers can come together, digital printers, manufacturers, everyone comes together, schools, training, all of that. It's only then when you can have something like that, is it possible for us to have the kind of vision that China has? You know, we've created schools, we have created APC, ATDC, all of that kind of stuff, but they're all independent bodies. Nothing is coordinated, yeah, and everybody has their own story and everybody wants to blow their own trumpet. The idea is all of this should come together in one place, sponsored by the government, land, all that kind of stuff, and manage, you know, like they had the vision to set up NIFT, which is really the backbone of the industry today. You know, that's where they should have a vision to build an economic zone only for clothing manufacturers and ancillaries related stuff, so that the ease of business is much better. Yeah, we can't be looking at China for every small thing. I need to go to China to get one good zip. And you know, today kids are only wearing bombers, only wearing jackets, only wearing everything with a little zip up. You can't find a good zip in this country.
Absolutely.
How do you expect to live up to global standards? So, sorry.
I agree with you totally. Venki, your turn.
Thank you. On the positive side, the most recent reforms in the labor laws, the new bills introduced in the parliament are laudable, and that should be motivation for investors and for Indian companies who want to scale up. The MEIS incentives and the increase has also supported, and there are some export booster packages also on the works. In terms of the ecosystems, now within the ecosystem, there are many players. And in China, they have a concept called guangxi. That means a relationship between amongst these partners. Sometimes two vendors will come to my office to meet me. One is talking with me, and if I say, can you make this? If he can't make it, he will say, but my friend can make it. They don't look at each other as competitors.
Right.
They come together, cooperation, and someone gets the order, they get the business. So Indians will also have to be broad-minded in developing this intra-ecosystem relationship and hunt in packs. The government has introduced a number of faceless procedures in taxation. Now, when it comes to import importing some goods. I've got some very urgent material which I'm airing just to meet the demand, and it comes into Bombay port. The documents go to an officer in Lucknow, and he's looking at it. He doesn't understand what it is. He puts 3-4 questions and sends it back, and my materials are stuck in Bombay port. So it's taking, and they don't work on Saturday, Sundays, and so these are the things they have to unlock and make the faceless procedures efficient also. The GST on man-made fibers and man-made garments, there seems to be some differences for fibers, yarns, and garments. If the government could review those and harmonize it, that will be helpful. Abhishek mentioned about the FTAs. Yes, if the government can try to close the FTAs with Canada, USA, Europe, Australia, that will be a big thing. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last question of today's webinar before we open the panel for discussion. Together, what should industry and academia do to support Atmanirbhar India? Starting with you, Gaurav.
So I think we need to work on 4 Ps. So the 4 Ps are procedure, people, product, and process. Let me talk through all Ps. The first one, procedure. When I talk about procedure, I mean R&D and innovation. So talking about institutes, I feel in institutes, the procedure of making students learn or understand should slightly change. We should talk about how to innovate. We should let them think freely. We should get them involved in research as well. It will not only help them during their academics, but will also help them when they step into the industry also. So on the other hand, in industry, let me give you an example. Another, like in apparel industry, we calculate a template and automation coverage. And why do we mention template and automation? Because with template and automation, we can save a lot of money. We can have better quality. We can de-skill the operators also. So when I'm talking about some of the global suppliers, they are hitting 30 to 35%. They are producing 30 to 35% of their SMV on template and automation. And their vision, their goal by 2023 is producing 60% of their SMV on template and automation. When I'm talking about Indian companies, we are hardly hitting 1 or 2% in template and automation. So it's a huge gap. So I feel this is the most important thing we need to work, create research and development and innovation, starting from the academics and in the industry, because that would give us a competitive advantage. Because otherwise, cost-wise, even our cost per minimum wages are lower than many countries, but still their cost of producing a garment is lower than us. And then my second is people. So again, on people part in academic, I want to focus on 2 things. First is exposure to the industry. So I feel the students should go more often to our industry where they see what are the real problems and how the industry are tackling those problems. So it should not be a big difference what they are studying in college and when they go to the industry. And second thing, I feel the industry experts should share their knowledge. They should also visit to the college and share more of their knowledge. And on the industry part, we do have a upskilling for the operators, which the government is doing. But when it comes to supervisor management, most of the companies don't have any plan to upskill their management. So I think this is also one of the areas where industry people need to work. My third P is product. So in product, I want to highlight what is our competitive advantage. We don't have a duty benefit. So what is then our competitive advantage? We do have a hand embroidery competitive advantage. We do focus on that, but that's again small orders with high FOB, where we can ignore, where most of our supply factories ignore efficiencies also, because they want to work on higher FOBs so they can save money. But then we should not ignore the core business and bringing higher efficiencies. So that would also generate like more machines and more what Mr. Narendra also talking about. He cannot find zippers also here. I think we need to focus on core business also, other than only small hand embroidery business, which mainly we are focusing in North India. So, and my last P is talking about process. And in process, I'm talking about continuous improvement, how we further improve our profits, efficiency, process, SMV also. I know some suppliers, a same pant, a supplier is making in a 20 minutes, and where the other supplier who is working on a continuous improvement, and within 3 to 6 months, he's able to produce the same pants in 15 minutes also. That's 33% reduction. So he would be saving a lot of cost. But we are not in India, probably we are not looking at this aspect. So I think this is also one of the area where we need to work more aggressively. Yeah, thanks.
Nari, your turn.
Right. So number one, I think to start with, I mean, there are, for me also, there are three words that I would look at it. One is vision, second is innovation, third is collaboration. You know, vision as in we cannot be thinking of what the situation is today and start building for what is happening today, because today will be gone in the next second. Every breath you take, it is gone. You know, we need to know what is the world going to be in 2030. Yeah, and then start adding to where we want to be. You know, if we are talking about manufacturing clothes, when the world has moved on towards sustainability, environment, consciousness, all of that kind of stuff, yeah, that is what is needed. That is, it is important that we have a vision of what the world will be in 2030. Start building from there. Vision also comes down to education, fashion education, academia also. You know, we should be getting out of the mindset of filling roles for people into saying we want to create creators. We want to give freedom of thought and give them access and tools to be the creators that they want, because fundamentally everybody knows how to make garments. The only way you can sell is by telling a different story. And the creators are the ones who really tell the stories. Yeah. So we have very few people who really have the wherewithal to create those stories. Like I said, you know, I might tell great stories, but I can't find a zip to put up on my jacket, you know. So it becomes really difficult. And given the kind of exposure today, you know, at least when I started off, there were like 3 or 4 designers who I used to follow from, you know, from Paris and from, you know, Yohji Yamamoto and Azrin Alaya, Thierry Mugler, Claude Montana. They were my gurus. But, you know, I used to be really frustrated that I couldn't find a zip to do this stuff. And today, if you see utility clothing as being a big fashion all the way, even more frustrating, because all young people can see what is happening in the world today, every day, right now. You know, so it is so much more frustrating for youth to match up to what's happening to the world, and how the youth is changing the environment of fashion completely. You know, as you know, a simple story, like for instance, like a brand like Zara. When it came out 20 years ago, there was a certain mindset, but they realized that their consumer was getting old. And, you know, so they've created another brand, Massimo Dutti, but they also realized that they needed a pipeline for the future. So they had Bershka, and then they had Stradivarius, so that you are building a pipeline for the future. And that is what I meant by vision, that where is the pipeline and where is the wherewithal to build this vision? Yeah. And the opportunity, we have great people, we have manufacturing, we just are not bringing all of this together. Yeah. And I think that, and my last point is collaboration. You know, when for people who come out today, when Gaurav spoke about industry experience and that kind of stuff, you can start that in college. You can teach people how to collaborate in school. You know, they can be, because even when you get out into the industry, it's the same process that we teach in the school. and college. Like if you are a manufacturer, you need a storyteller who's a marketing person, you need a designer who create that. Why not get students to start before they get out and get into that mindset before they get out of university? You know, that is really makes them industry ready on day one instead of getting into another place, doing an internship, looking at stuff and doing that. Students will be more helpful. People will have more confidence in the students that they hire. And collaboration is because nobody has built anything by themselves. I am here today because the 100 tailors who work with me and everybody else who has been with me through their journeys in life, they are the people who made me. And I think we are a product of collaboration. And the fact that we should be teaching that in academia right before they get out into industry would be a great advantage for all these young people. So yeah, 3 things: vision, collaboration, and I forgot the third one, innovation, sorry. So those are the 3 things that we're looking at, and those are really important, I believe, for us to be really Atmanirbhar with a vision looking ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Nari. Venki, your turn.
Is what should industry and academia do to support Atmanirbhar? Now, NIFT has its own internship programs, once in the summer and one a longer project. Please continue that. It's great, very important. Number 2, I was sharing in another discussion what makes the IIT boys succeed. When the IIT final year boys are taking the GRE examination, the people from one batch junior are standing right outside the examination center. When these boys finish the exam and come out, 1 for 1, one boy coming out is caught by one from the junior batch, and they tell him, tell me what are the questions you remember. Whatever questions he remembers, they note it down. Similar thing is happening with 50 other people. By the end of 1 hour, they have the complete question paper in their hand, and they use that for further learning. This is collaboration. So there is a big world of web learning which is available in the internet. There is so much to learn, but not all of that is available very easily. An institution like NIFT will be able to open find the keys for those. My daughter is studying in Trinity, Dublin, and she is able to get access to quality research material, which I as an individual cannot. So if NIFT can open it to them, then they are able to learn. Now, how can a few students learn 25 different subjects? They have to break themselves into groups of 20 each, go deep into that subject, each of them learn, and then they conduct small sessions for others to also come and hear and pick up. So this kind of big relationship has to be there internally. Now, 2 other thoughts. One, in case NIFTians are finding it challenging to get jobs due to the industry, or they have been laid off due to similar reasons, I think what we need is a Sonu Sood for NIFTians. So if NIFTA and others are coming together on any such initiative, I'm willing to join and try to help in different ways possible to revive these people, to resuscitate these people, re-energize these people. Number 5 is that all NIFTians, both in the faculty and in the students, should become SSR warriors. That means sustainable sourcing roadmap. The future is in sustainable sourcing roadmap. They should try to go deep and try to learn as much as possible. Asmara is interested in sponsoring a chair for sustainable fashion. And I'm making this statement openly, and we would like to discuss more about this and lead such initiatives and not just talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I just want to add, Vandan, I just want to add while Venki just spoke about it, you know, just like students, every student necessarily needs to go through a sustainability project, you know, or a finishing project when they finish, because that is a fundamental, like Vicky said and I said before, Venki said, sorry, and I said before, sustainability is the most important thing going ahead, preparing for the next 10 years. And every student it should be necessarily a part of the curriculum that they have a strong collaborative project on sustainability as something that will grade them when they get out of college.
Okay, before I ask Abhishek for it, let me respond to both of you. There are 4 things which NIFT has started in last 2 years. There is a general elective called personality development, which focuses on soft skills and
Right.
team. Sustainability is part of every curriculum, every department.
Right.
Like every student of NIFT goes to craft sector, technology management and design, not only to design and teach the craftsmen, but rather to learn from the craftsmen, to
Right.
keep our heritage alive. And the 4th thing is that entrepreneurship is now part of every department curriculum, because we understand and have felt that need that students are the ones which are going to change the face of this country. And
Absolutely. Wonderful.
we have to be at it. Abhishek, over to you, and then I'll wrap up.
Yeah. Together, what should the industry and academia do to support Atmanirbhar? Well, the industry need good students, good academic person. The academic person need good industries. They are both connected. So we have to come together. There is no other way. The time when they come together is the thing that we have to think about. Like everybody mentioned, the collaboration, the support, the R&D, and the 4 P's that he mentioned, the Gaurav mentioned, is the mantra, I think, that should be continued and discussed further. Like in this pandemic situation, the industry, I think that they should not fire the employees, and the academians should try to continue with their respective industry at present. Whatever they are doing, they should keep on doing, keep on supporting, and together only they can make Atmanirbhar Bharat a national movement. And I think that if we all come together and do it collectively, then I have no doubt that we will be self-reliant one day, and reliance on countries like China will decrease. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nari, for, as usual, a very enlightening discussion. Thank you, Mr. Venki. I'm going to catch up with you very shortly for the chair, because between me and Raghu, one of us will get back to you within this coming week. Gaurav, really interesting the way you put the 4 P's. And Abhishek, I never knew that we had a businessman in Japan who had set up the business from Calcutta to Japan in less than 10. You have been a graduate in 2003, 17 years.
Yes.
Internships are always on at NIFT. This time, due to pandemic, the internship could not happen in summer. We are starting our internship from 1st November. If any of you is interested or know of any opportunities, we are all welcome, because we have 17 campuses where students are going to be looking for internship. I'm sure Raghu has been collecting questions to take up, and I'm now going to give it over to Raghu, and it was really lovely talking to each one of you. Raghu, your turn now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Actually, I was mesmerized because it was not just coming out of the blue. We were thinking about it because I've got this about 12 webinars listed down. So when the biggest of the challenge was to identify the correct title which will be helpful for the entire fashion ecosystem. It's just not about NIFT, it's about the fashion ecosystem. And then identifying experts who can really talk about it. And today, it was really enthralling. And thanks to each one of you, because it was such meticulous, I could see that there was such meticulous preparation, and then points were put bang on. And I think the young minds which are watching and which have a lot of expectation amid speculation of industry not doing well, their moral would have gone really, really high. And my wholehearted thanks for you to build that confidence among these young adults. That's how I call them. So it's voice of the, I am now becoming the voice of the viewers. So it's going to be a freestyle interaction with the panelists. And looking at the way all of you have been speaking and sharing your thoughts, we've got questions flooded in the chat box in the Q&A. And also I've been receiving mails in the past 2 days. So we will take some 4 to 5 questions because I've combined a lot of, I've bucketed them into areas. And then so there are more students who have asked, more students and viewers who have asked questions on similar lines. So I'm not going to take names, but rather the questions. And specifically, I will direct these questions to the panelists. So let me start with Nari, because it's got to be, not many people answer about design and the importance of design. That there is a reason, because everybody thinks that the world perceives globally. Everybody, brands and manufacturers or any buyer perceives that India lacks design. It is a very, very beautiful and a skillful manufacturing destination, but it is not a product design or development destination. So Nari, what these young minds want to know is that what should the young designers do and focus to develop a self-reliant India in terms of superior product design and development?
So, important thing, when I tell people, there are 3 things, there are 3 words that I use. A lot of people ask me, what is the secret of your success? Yeah. And I say, if I was to say the secret of my so-called success is 3 words. One is passion to the point of obsession, that it should really be important. It should not allow you to sleep. It should get you awake, and it should be the only thing in your life when you are doing that kind of stuff. Number 2 is conviction. Conviction is finding out who you are as a person, because your conviction colors your passion. It gives direction to your passion. It puts you, and your conviction could be anything. It doesn't have to be, one way or the other. It could be anything, but you need a sense of conviction to drive that passion. It needs to have some direction, otherwise it will be aimless, right? And number 3 is evolution. You have to evolve to be relevant to the time that you live in. I've been in a career 30 years now almost, but even today, after all of that, we're doing some of the most sporty, youthful, cool line, because there is no brand in this country that talks to the young people. And there's a young market out there. And there are so many opportunities in that area. And nobody's looking at it. And the only brand that you can talk of for young people are Pepe and Levi's, which are, my father's brands. They are not brands that are for the young people of today. So, and why I say all of this is because only then can you develop an individual sense of style and creativity, because those are the things that separate you from everybody, because each one has a unique sense of conviction and each one understands passion in a different way. Yeah. And then, of course, there is the environment where the faculty, people, nurturing that environment and allowing students to think freely outside the boundaries of our mind. What happens is sometimes we are enveloped in a world that is our own and are not, and expect everybody to live in that world. To be creative and innovative is from the part of the faculty and from part of me itself, is to be open to the world, to say and accepting. I tell myself today, I'm in the biggest college of life. I'm learning about the young people from the very beginning. I've looked at it from the last 4 years. What is millennial fashion? How is millennial fashion moving? What are the things that are changing those fashion? What appeals to them? And then what are the kind of clothes they're going to wear? And so how is Gen Z going to dress up? And what is going to make a difference for the next 20 years or 30 years of this world? So important really to have those 3 things, and to create a sensibility which is your own, a style which is your own. And that's where you can you imagine 30 students in one college having different convictions, coming up with great creative stuff by themselves, allowing that to flourish. And now that you have the incubation program at NIFT, it's fantastic. If there's something that I can do with the students out there, I would love to do. And this is an opportunity to really look at the next 20 years of what is going to be and shape fashion in this country. So those are the things I would say, Raghu.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Bang on. I mean, any panel, it's a freestyle session. So any panelists who want to add to this, I'm most welcome. Otherwise, I'm going to move to the next voice from the viewers. Shall we move next?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. He covered most of the thing. He is the best person to answer this. Arigato gozaimasu. From all those students. Arigato gozaimasu.
Yes. So yeah, my next question is more of an international, let's say, to put it from an international perspective. It says, Mr. Venki, I think you'll be the right person to give us some insight to this. They say, what does it require to make global brands, turn their heads towards an Atmanirbhar India? When will these people, look forward to, like, probably if you think that China is the benchmark and everybody at one point in time wanted to source, get things manufactured, and everywhere they were going about China, and then probably we saw Vietnam coming up, Cambodia, Gaurav, I mean, even including brands like Adidas, they've been manufacturing for multiple brands. So what we exactly need to do for capturing that kind of a market share from globally through this particular Atmanirbhar drive?
Right. I think 3 points come to my mind. One of the concerns, one of the requirements is scale. What China has and India has very less of. Now, when a customer has an order for 100,000 units of a particular product, and he's got to decide whether to place it in China or in India, and he thinks that something can go wrong in the pre-production, and if production time is squeezed, which of these factories can make it up and still deliver? Now, the factory with 25 production lines versus a factory with 5 production lines. So they would rather go for a safe choice, and they go for the bigger factories because of the probability of getting the delivery on time. So scale matters. And to achieve scale, the Indian factories are sometimes in two minds. If I go all in and go for scale, and if 5 years later the government policy changes, I'm stuck. So that is where the push-pull has happened, and India has been behind. The second thing which customers want from India is more reliability, to under-promise and over-deliver. Sometimes it happens the other way. So India has to improve on reliability. And so these together, to improve scale, to have a stable government policy, and continuous encouragement on such schemes, whether you call it Atmanirbhar or for a longer period, and to really dig in and improve our competence and reliability.
Great.
Yeah, Raghu, I just
Yes,
wanted to
yes.
add, Raghu, I just wanted to add out there, to that question. I think a fundamental thing for brands to look at India is man-made fiber. We do not have, like Venki said before, and we had spoken earlier, that we have no focus on man-made fiber. The world and the markets abroad, 6 months of the year live on man-made fiber. And we do not have that technology. We do not have the fabric, the wherewithal, the technology, the manufacturing capacity, nothing. And I think that is really opens up a huge new market for us if we look at something like that, And Venki spoke earlier about technology from Taiwan, from Korea, coming into India, working with them, setting them down. Those are really the things that will make the world stand up and look to India as as a global supplier. We cannot be a global supplier living only on cotton clothing.
True. Yeah. Great. The third is a connected question, and it is open because I'm not going to be directing it specifically to the panelists. Any one of you can initiate dialogue. So it's like, how do we enhance the demands for Indian products, especially the handmade handcrafted products in the global market? And this was the question. This, I think, probably for over a period of time, everywhere we were talking about the handlooms and the handicrafts touching the luxury markets. So how do we work on this, taking this opportunity?
So may I answer that, Raghu?
Yeah, sure, please go ahead.
Sorry, okay, guys. I just want to, in 20, 30 years ago, India used to have these India things abroad globally. And there used to be dance troops and all that kind of thing that used to go. So the language of communicating India earlier was through all of these dance, and Mrs. Jaikar, who instituted NIFT India thing, was through culture that went abroad. And what built out of that was yoga and how the world adapted to yoga. The second trip was food, and how Indians who started living abroad started making curry the food of the West, in large part. Today, the world wants to smell India. We need young, creative people taking to the world. And when the world is ready to listen to stories about sustainability, about craftsmen in villages, creative talent that comes together, showcases, because I am very sure that if it was done under a global program across countries, it would be a great place for the world to discover and be socially responsible. And in those countries, you still have people who can pay the price for the kind of clothing that, this kind of clothing costs to make. Sustaining those people, sustaining the workers, because India has multiple levels, like I said, poverty at some level. Not everybody is able to appreciate and pay that kind of price. The awareness for this in the world is so strong today that there is no reason why we should not do this, because there are so many stories to tell, and the world wants stories to be told with the clothes they wear. People don't want to buy another t-shirt. They want to know where it comes from, how does it help somebody, and this is what is redefining the global fashion platform, and the opportunity for India out there is huge. It just needs a thought process, a team, a vision that brings this together and takes a new level of exploration of India when the world is ready to listen. Thank you.
Great. We've always been front runners, isn't it? We've always been front runners. Somehow or the other, yes, please.
I would like to one thing here.
Yeah, please.
I would like to add one thing. See, whenever I have met with different type of customers in different countries wherever I have been visited, I find that they want to sell their product with some kind of stories. They want to sell their products in their stores. They should have a different kind of products in their store. Every product should be there in their store. They want to trap all the customers or tap all the customers. So they want to put stories behind their products, each and everything. So handloom and Indian products has good stories, like, Indian khadi, Indian linen, Indian silk. These are things that they can relate to, and they can create stories, and they can sell. They can make their own USP. One of my client in Japan, they created USP with linen product, saying that they are making linen and they are procuring linen from Lithuania. Lithuania linen. Lithuania is a country which produces the most of the linen in the world. They supply to China. China make the yarn. It's a different story, but whatever they are doing, they are creating a USP. So every client, every customer want to create a USP of their product to sell in the market, to sustain in the market. So in these places, our handloom products, our linen products, our khadi products, and embroidery products can enter and create some kind of space for them. Of course, Mr. Venki mentioned about the large scale business that we all need to tap. That is a great aspect that we should work on. That is a different issue. But for those kind of international customers, they need to have those kind of stories behind their products. Thank you.
Great. So to be very punctual and adhering to time, this is going to be the last question for the day. before we wind up. And I'm requesting Gaurav to take the lead in answering this, and then subsequently panelists may please add on to this. Gaurav, we've been talking about innovation, R&D innovation. What the grads want to know is that what is the right area of innovation and where to start, and how do we look for industries that will support these kind of innovations that start academically and then flow through industry practice.
So I think I bit of touched this before also. I think first thing is we need our machines, because we are running a huge business still in apparel. We need the machines to be manufactured in India, and we want some Indian company to manufacture machines. So I think that would be the first step. And then, as I said, I think we need mechanical and electrical engineers to collaborate with these machines suppliers to create automation into that. So because now the wages, the most of the customers, the way they are working, they know what is the wages in that country, they know what is the minute rate also. The companies can be profitable once they reduce the SMV which required to produce the garment, and that can be reduced with automation only or method improvement. So method improvement probably would be a basic step, but then automation would be a further step. And automation, you can have collaboration with machine suppliers and electrical and mechanical engineers. So I thought that is the need. We need to set up the machine suppliers in India who can collaborate with these guys and can start working on automation. So I think we really need to focus on these areas if we want to survive this business, especially when we want to go with what Mr. Venki said, high volumes, the core business. So we want to not focus only with the embroidery small orders. We need to shift into that business, and that can be done when we focus on automation.
Okay, great. Any other panelists who would want to add on to this?
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah, actually, I want to add already, and I sir already said and mentioned all the things that we, even for a zipper kind of thing, we have to go to China. Well, I would like to explain the process of any kind of investor who wants to invest in India. They just see two kind of things. They have two kind of cost in the beginning. There is a fixed cost and there is a recurring cost. In the fixed cost, they have to purchase the land, they have to purchase the machinery, they have to purchase the equipments. But unfortunately, in India, we don't find those kind of machineries or equipments where we can start.
The land.
Land we
or
have.
Even the land.
The land, the government is, I hope the government is providing everywhere. The state government has to play a bigger role in this, and the government should enforce this process to just create those kind of new B towns where we can create a new business hub, mega clusters. These are the two new things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So coming back to my thing that we need to purchase those machineries. So it comes in the fixed cost, it's around 40 to 50%. As a manufacturer, if I have to set up new thing, I have to invest 40 to 50% of my money for those machines and equipments which I have to buy from China or get the products imported from China. So all my money, all my saving, or even an investor from the West who wants to create a new business in India, invest in India, but 50% of that money is going to China. See, it's a big loss for Indian business. So we need to catch up in this issue, as Gaurav already mentioned, that machineries and mechanical and every kind of engineers should pitch in with their effort. The second thing is the recurring cost. In the recurring cost, we need to purchase raw materials, spare parts for maintenance, spare parts, especially I want to say, if we can buy the machines from Indian manufacturer, but we don't know the spare parts are available or not. It's a big issue. So we need to have those kind of infrastructure placed. And the accessories for the garments like laces, packaging materials, trims, each and everything we have to source from China. Why? We can make it, we can create it from our side. And if we can do that, we have an India which can be Atmanirbhar.
Great. That's really great. So I think this webinar, I mean the 1.5 hour, 90 minutes has been 360-degree complete in all respect. The views expressed and the thought, the kind of envisioning that is happening, and opportunity. It's always opportunity. It's not about just speaking about. Yes.
I just saw a comment from someone in the chat box saying, "Why are machines?"
Yeah. Yes. I can also see that.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would like to answer this question because I have just explained this thing. See, why we are lacking in machines. This question is very big. If you think that when we started our business in India started in during 1980s, 1990s, 2000 millennium started. Since that period, we don't have any kind of machine making factories or accessory supplying factories, spare parts making factories. We don't have those kind of, like if you consider USA, Indian factory, but they don't make industrial machine. They can make machine, stitching machine, but they don't make industrial machine which meet those prices, meet those standards, catch up the large scale manufacturing. So that's the demand, not the machine. The demand is to catch the large scale manufacturing. For that, we don't have the machines at present.
You know, Raghu, an analogy to this is the auto industry. You know,
Yes.
look at the auto ancillaries that are made in India. Lots of companies doing that for all of these. So there is benefit for downstream benefit for manufacturers and suppliers and participants in this system. In India, we don't have that system at all. So there is so much scope, like Abhishek said, for people who create ancillaries for all of these products, who could create that. And that is the ecosystem to be built in this country. We don't have that. And the opportunity to do that, and if we have to be Atmanirbhar, this is essentially important that we have something like this. We have an industry that flourishes downstream, not just one manufacturer, because we have done this in the past. You know, there have been large companies like Reliance in Patalganga and Bombay Dyeing and big companies that have done big manufacturing.
Yes.
Why can we not do that today?
Taking on from there, Nari, Reliance flooded the market, and when Dhirubhai said that every Indian is going to have a mobile at 500 rupees, that was a time when we used to spend about 16 rupees to get a call.
I know.
Yeah, incoming. Yes.
If someone could change, that was the vision and collaboration which happened, but it didn't happen with the government. It happened by
Industry.
The corporate industry. Yeah.
And what Abhishek said about Usha not making industrial machines, how many people are actually manufacturing anything in the country? Most of our engineers do engineering and go in for MBA because they
Yes. That's the point.
we had
Because there's nothing there to do. There's no roles for them in that industry.
No, Nari, we have to create roles. When you people graduated of NIFT, what was the fashion industry?
Nothing.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. And we had a discussion in the President's Conference about 2 weeks back on Indian education policy 2020. And one thing which is very, very interesting for from the education policy is that hopefully it will cut down on the rote learning in the schools, and the 98% and 100% marks and 100%, 102% cutoff of St. Stephen's will go out of fashion. And I don't remember ever getting 100% marks when I was a student.
I was always last in class.
Does it even matter?
It doesn't. It doesn't. You know, even when I hire students today, I don't look at that mark sheet at all.
But you are one of the few people like that, Nari, because we have industry who come and say, okay, all 8 pointers in and all less than 8 pointers out. That doesn't work.
Right. You can't, not in the creative space, not at all.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why I raised it. So keeping all these in mind, I think some message which I would like to give to our viewers who are there, especially the students and graduates who are there, we can make the change. We don't have to depend on anyone else to make that change. And
Absolutely.
Each one of us has said it, but we have to get out of this mindset of asking what others can do for us or what government can do for us. Just thought of few examples while you guys were chatting of what we can do as individuals and what we can do as collaborators. And we are looking for collaboration with each one of you. Most of you are Niftians, so I take it as a taken for granted thing that
Yes.
collaboration. And Venki very generally.
You have one chair already, Vandana. You have a chair. Congratulations there.
Thank you.
And well done, Venki. Really thoughtful and well. Really
And absolutely
great job.
on time. Absolutely on time because this is
Yes,
very badly required.
And in the right field, Venki. Right. I mean, the subject is really right.
Totally agree.
So I mean, yeah. So the point is when the situation is tough, there is a lot of opportunity. So if we look at, there is an opportunity for a chair in sustainability. There is an opportunity for the country's leading designer coming and hand-holding students, in the incubation process. And a couple of takeaway from the last webinar and this webinar from the dean, where the message was sent to all the students that market is not bad as it is being speculated, but things have started opening up, positivity there. And now today from Dr. Vandana Naran, that we have to be the change agents and we do not expect anybody to bring in the change.
So Abhishek said, Raghu, that market is higher in December. So that is the best change he has
Correct.
given.
Yes, I am coming to it. Perspective from Abhishek on entrepreneurship, innovation, and perspective from Gaurav on insisting on the R&D and innovation to compete with the global supremacy. I think it's a complete all-rounded package. My sincere apologies to all the viewers because I'm getting questions in the Q&A box as well as the chat box and the live streaming in the YouTube. My assurance is that we will send the bucketed questions to our panelists and we will invite their response and comments, suggestions by email, which we will try forwarding it to you at the earliest. So I think it's time to conclude the show. And on behalf of the NIFT family and fraternity, our sincere, heartfelt thanks to Mr. Venki. It's been really wonderful. And you've been there last Sunday and this Sunday, and I do not know how many more Sundays to come. Thanks, Gaurav, Abhishek, for accepting a quick call, and Nari. I think I'll keep on telling you thanks, and you'll keep on calling me up, and we'll end up doing something like this every odd time, whenever something crops up for NIFT. So my wholehearted love to you. So you've been wonderful, man. So, and Professor Dr. Vandana Naran, Dean, this is the third webinar, free flow, very meticulous, to the point, and viewership is increasing. That's because you get the best out of the panelists with the crisp questions. And our viewers, thanks for your continuous support. My team, the Industry and Alumni Affairs team at NIFT, sitting in 16 different cities across the country, following things meticulously. And a special mention this time to Supriya Yadav, one of the members of the team. She's the RAC of Bhopal, for continuously supporting and designing the webinar invites. Thank you, Supriya. I'm sure you must be listening, and please convey our regards and thanks to all the students who've been associated with you for bringing up beautiful webinar posters. And of course, Birendra ji, thank you very much for yet again organizing an uninterrupted webinar for about 90 minutes. That is more important. And thanks a lot for everybody being part of this. Our next webinar in this series will be on the 8th of November 2020, and where we will be again meeting up with distinguished panelists to discuss on textile, craft, clothing, commerce, and more. Till then, thank you very much for joining us. Namaskar.